Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Shred Sessions. This is episode 27, and we've got a very special episode today. I've got the vocalist of Alcina, Mr. Wes Breedwell, with us. Wes, how you doing, man?
Man, living the dream.
Heck
Appreciate being here.
So, dude, you wanted to come over to kind of rehash some things that happened years ago at Rocketown. We also just wanted to learn more about the history of the Nashville hardcore scene, man. Yeah. And you're kind of the guy that knows about it because you're one of the elder fathers of the scene, I would say. So, dude, yeah, catch us up with what's been going on with you recently and what are you doing in the scene these days, man?
Honestly, just supporting as much as I can. You know, I was one of the people that started AM PM, and Adam Easterling from Orthodox is kind of taken over. So anytime he needs help, I'll pitch in with some ideas, like the outdoor show that they did a few weeks ago.
That was sick, by the way.
Man, so much fun. He hit me up, and Grant Evans, who also started AM PM, and we just went and scout locations, and then myself and I think everyone knows Lego from the scene, like
Steven?
Yeah. So like we were there, like helping build the stage and get everything good for them. So you know, that type of stuff. But I'll promote here and there, but it's just for fun.
Yeah, because you used to book a lot of shows.
A ton.
That was your thing, man.
Yep.
And our history is we used to live at the barn together, which the barn was like a house that I think still to this day, like there's different punk and hardcore and metal guys that live there. To my knowledge.
So I think about maybe like 2 years ago, Zach Witcher was the last one to move out.
Okay.
And so like we have no ties to that house anymore, but we had that landlord, Rob, shout out Rob.
Love you, Rob.
He probably owes me some back rent for the decade worth of people that just like I helped like guide in. So
dude, living at that place was really cool, man. And that was instrumental in my life at the time because I had to move out of the place. I was living off of Riverside Drive in East Nashville, kind of in that area. And the house that I was living at was being sold. And I was just like, what am I going to do? You know? And I think I told like Sasha Park, like, hey, like if you know anybody that has a place that I could stay. And you just so happened to have a place or an extra room for me. And it just really helped me out, man. And living with you guys was cool. Wasn't the cleanest place.
Nope.
I think I was probably kind of an asshole about cleanliness when I lived with you guys, but
I mean, rightfully so. That place ended up. It was a weird shaped house.
It was a very bizarre, like 90s house.
Like technically, it was 5 rooms. Supposedly, Reba McEntire recorded there at one point.
No way.
And then it became like a halfway house. I don't know if you were there when like random people would just show up.
Was it a studio at some point?
At some point it was.
Weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like where the that like shitty living room area, like where we put the TV was like a garage that they ended up enclosing and then just building on top of it. But yeah, you could tell it was just a hodgepodge. Yeah.
It was pretty weird house. It did look like a barn. And I think, there were 5 people there at the time. It was Grant Evans was living in the front room. I was upstairs with Kyle Brooks and RC Knoll. And no, there's 3 bedrooms upstairs, right? Yeah. And then you kind of had your own
like weird
little cubby hole.
Yeah,
space.
It was like an old wet bar because they had a pool there at one point that the landlord then took down, and that's where we put the fire pit. And so what was funny was Andy Atkins from Plea, Bad Luck Burger, used to print t-shirts out of that room, and then when he moved out, I was like, this would be a perfect bedroom. And so I just moved my stuff down because I used to have the big one where I think at that point when you were there, Kyle was in. But yeah, just a weird house, but a ton of fun.
Yeah, man. I recorded a bunch of music there when I lived there, and I remember just like falling asleep with 440 just howling away. But after maybe a week, it just became a kind of a soothing thing almost. to like
it was. I mean,
fall asleep there.
It was weird because I ended up missing that sound after I left the house.
You couldn't
like
sleep.
Moved out to the burbs and it was so quiet. I'm like, I can't sleep anymore. I need that ocean sound.
Yeah, it is kind of like an ocean sound. Well, dude, let's see here. Let's talk about some of your first influences, man. Like, how did you get into heavy music? Talk about like just how you were raised, what your background was, where you're originally from, what part of Nashville you grew up in. Just like, let's start at the beginning, man.
Yeah, I mean, technically born in California. We moved here off and on. When I say off and on, like we moved cross country like 3 different times, but finally settled in Mount Juliet when I was probably around kindergarten. Grew up in a very loving but yet dysfunctional household, like most, I think, suburban kids. Through that, like in Mount Juliet, there was a venue there called Cafe Express, which was a faith-based venue that would host events Friday and Saturday night.
And this is in Mount Juliet.
Yeah. And they had different locations. I knew about it because at one of the locations, it was tied to a church, and my dad helped out, like do like a bunch of stuff. Like if you ever know like the band The Bride, or like Christofaria or Christofarian, forget what they're called. But they like would go through there. And so when I became old enough, like junior high school, freshman, a bunch of friends, we would always go there. And then that was just a strict fast track to going into see shows in Nashville, because there's like local bands like called like Bad Gene, which was like a Blink-182 like rip-off band, and then a band that I think are legends. I think they should get more notoriety from Nashville's like local scene called Oliver's Army. Mm-hmm. They did a split with like Love Is Red back in the day, but those shows at Cafe Express really propelled. And then through friends like Blair White, who owns East Side Music Supply, like he would just open the door and introduce so much other music to me, and like took me to like my first actual like hardcore show.
Blair White did?
Yeah.
No way,
and so
dude.
like he had this like cool tan Bronco that we'd always ride around in. But yeah, it just really fast tracked to where then.
Did Blair give you your first joint?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Well, no.
I don't think he was involved in that stuff.
God, I got so many stories about him.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
great.
because like he's also from Mount Juliet, so
Yeah. We'll get him on the show soon.
yeah, he should tell the story about the MJCA penis. He'll know what that means.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, anyways, like then it's just like, oh well, I want to do my own band, and so me and friends, my brother, we formed a shitty pop punk band called Yellow Snow, and then that blossomed into a few other renditions, and then ended up settling on a band called Fridays Montana. That was like a wannabe Thursday Taking Back Sunday Thrice-esque band, which we would usually play like Cafe Express. I would started booking shows through that venue.
So was Cafe Express like a church, like an extension of a church that was in town?
No, kind of, but no.
So it wasn't like an exclusively Christian venue?
No, more faith-based, but there was just certain rules. There was the lady who ran it. Her name was Marlinda. She took it over from her husband. Her husband ended up passing. And it was, she had her kids. The most, notable location it was at, because I feel like it moved 5 or 6 times, was at the corner of Mount Juliet Road and Division in Mount Juliet, right next to the train tracks. And like they would try to bring in Christian artists, like Disciple played there once. Mm-hmm. And we found out how much they were asking for, and we knew she didn't have the money.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not going to admit to what happened, but anyways, we ended up getting some payback on them, because like they were charging like $5,000, and this was like back in like 2000 maybe.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it would be either our bands, ours is like me and my friend group, or like local Nashville bands coming down.
Yeah. So I guess it only makes sense that you would go on to work at Rocketown and book shows there and basically manage the venues.
What's funny is I actually went to the original Rocketown that a lot of people don't know about. The original Rocketown was in Cool Springs.
Wow.
It was tied to a church called New Song Church, and that's where my family and I went at the time. I was young, like definitely elementary school, but I remember seeing Squad 5-0 there. And then they ended up, I don't know, shut down or whatever.
Is that a Christian rock band or a rap band?
Kind of like a Christian pop punk band.
Cool.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, but I can't place them in my mind right now.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that singer was the first one to wear like the loose tie and like sweatbands and stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. All the early 2000s styles, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I remember like my parents telling me when Rocketown in Nashville got announced, we were still going out to church in Cool Springs, Brentwood. So driving from there back to Mount Juliet, we would like swing by and like check out the progress because
they were building it.
Yeah.
Now the Rocketown that was on 6th Avenue, that was like the place that everyone has these really fond memories of, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, like preparing for this, just to make sure like I try to be as accurate as I can from my own perception. It's unreal how many memories became floating back just from that.
Yeah, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I've only seen video clips like of As Hell Retreats when Jackson had his really long hair, and like I just was like, oh man, it'd be so awesome to be a part of this community. And I remember going to Cornerstone in 2011 and seeing As Hell Retreats, and the band I was in at the time, we were doing well at Cornerstone, but as the year went on, that just different things happened in that band. We couldn't continue. That was Skies that I was in. And I just, in the back of my mind, I was like, I got to get to Nashville. I got to like keep doing this. I got to stay in the metal scene. I was like determined to keep playing guitar, you know, and playing heavy music. And I loved As Hell Retreats. Like, I was just like, it would be insane to be in that band. And I just hit Tyler up, you know, one day and on Facebook, and he was like, okay, learn these 3 songs and send some videos. And I learned everything by ear, and I was at least good enough to pass the audition. And he was like, yeah, just come on down. And I just remember packing all my stuff in my 4Runner at the time and just like showing up in his driveway and knocking on his door, and there's Tyler Riley, like, hey man, come on in. And then we lived there for maybe, I think I was there for maybe a week, and then we went on tour. But I quickly found out that a lot of the ways that I learned those riffs were wrong. So he had to like correct me, you know. And those riffs, especially the stuff off of their first full length Revival, that stuff is crazy hard. Like the Blake Hardman riffs, like just nuts. But walk us through how the scene went from maybe Cafe Express and then to Rocketown.
Yeah, so the owner of Cafe and Express and I had kind of a falling out at one point. So I decided to start doing house shows. I would convince friends' parents in the areas that had big garages to do a show, cut them a deal, like throw cash at them.
Is this high school for you?
Yeah, I'm probably 15 or 16 at the time.
Yeah.
To where there's a friend's house. They had a 3-car garage. We would go and talk to all the neighbors and let them know. Give them our cell phone numbers. If they have issues, call us first. We like set up caution tape around like what would be an outdoor area, and like even like ID kids that were smoking, just in case cops did come. Like they can't do anything to us, right? Because we would try to be done by the noise ordinance time. Make sure there's no fights or anything.
Was the no noise like 9 p.m., 10 p.m.?
It was like 10.
Yeah.
And then once, if we hit 10 p.m., we said, like, just get the fuck out, like, bye. Just so we could keep doing it. We only did it, like, maybe 3 or 4 times, but I think the biggest show we ever did was around 400 or 500 people in a garage.
What?
It was insane. I've been trying to figure out what show that was. I know a local band called Years at Dawn played it. I want to say Fridays Montagna played it. But it was, absolutely bonkers.
That's wild. Yeah. And these parents were just like, just let the kids have some fun. At least we can see what they're doing.
Looking back on it, I don't know if they fully knew what was going to happen.
The potential liability.
Yeah. And then like we popped over some other houses too that had like weird like bonus rooms area. That was pretty cool. And then that just developed into creating a network with other suburban towns like Hendersonville. Which at that time, going from Mount Juliet to Hendersonville felt like we're on tour. I know, as dumb as that sounds, but it's like a 30 to 40 minute drive. Yeah. And so like we'd trade shows with bands out there like Red Letter Holiday and a Rosa Crush and Kill Tonight, which like JP's old bands and like Matt Mason and all them. And so it was really cool. And then there's like a venue out there called the Living Room. And at that point, I was in a band called Perpetuating the Death of Winston Churchill, or also short for PTDOWC, a terrible band name.
PTDOWC.
But we couldn't make up our mind on it was either going to be Perpetuating the Death or a night Churchill went to dinner. Because, of course, back in like 2002, 3, 4, you had to have a long band name if you wanted to be taken serious. And so a friend just like, why don't you just do it that? So we went with
the
it.
Longer the better, baby.
Yeah, the living room was awesome. It was like the like cafeteria area at that Good Shepherd Church in Hendersonville. And shows were wild. They just let, for the most part, kids just do what they want. We ended up getting banned from there because we were, of course, heavily influenced. Like at that point, like Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child was out. A lot of bands that would come through Nashville were doing a lot of the getting close to the crowd with like guitar swings and all that.
Wait, what's the band that did Bless the Martyr?
Norma Jean.
Oh yeah.
And so like our guitar players were doing that, and the staff did not like that, and ended up like pushing one of them, and so I, of course, hit them in the face, and they didn't like that either. But
wait, they didn't like that you guys were moshing? Or?
Well, yeah, just like from a stage presence perspective, like going up against the crowd. And so, I'm not noticing, or I'm not really comprehending what's happening. Yeah. I just see my guitar player get pushed, and so I go and punch the guy. We ended up making up years later, but yeah, it was shocking that they even let us play, because like that band, like we had a pentagram that was like reflective kick drum, and so any light hit it, it just looked red. And so we're sitting there with a pentagram kick drum in a church. But yeah, so through there, that scene was awesome, and then that kind of bled into like there was a venue in Madison called 615 Records that was ran by a couple of guys and through Death and Crimson back in the day, and that's where Perpetuating really, like, we practiced there. We helped with the record store. We would help put on shows. A really like unknown venue at this point from like a Nashville history perspective, but so many killer shows happen there. That it definitely needs to be talked about more, because like just for the time and place, it was such a cool venue.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I can get some footage of this stuff somehow.
Yeah, I do have some pictures of 615 Records. Like there's a picture of me falling off. Like they had like just high stacks of speakers, and again, copying what I've seen other bands do, I started climbing said speakers, not realizing that gravity is a thing.
They're not strapped down.
And it was like a New Year's Eve event. And the guys who ran it loved airsoft guns. And so they see me climbing up, and then it's like the stack starts to wobble, and ended up like I'm getting shot with airsoft guns.
Oh my God.
And as the speakers are falling back on me.
Oh my God, dude.
Could have been way worse than what the injury ended up being. But yeah, I definitely have some pictures. There might be footage on YouTube of some shows there, but
yeah, I'll have to look on YouTube and see what I can find. But
yeah, I think there's definitely a video of Hollywood, if you know of that band from there. Yeah.
So 615 Records was in Madison, and that was kind of like, would you say that was like the central hub of the scene at the time? Like that's where a lot of the shows were going on?
Yeah, it was one of them, because then the Muse was also around that point too.
And around what year is this, Wes?
This is probably around 2003-04.
Okay.
Because I think the Muse opened around 2001 or 2, which they were like the bigger venue at that point in time. There's also other venues around that were starting to slowly shut down, like 328 Performance Hall, which if anyone has time, look up the Fugazi set from there in like 89, which is unreal to see. But they got taken out for Korean Vets Parkway. And then there's also Blue Sky Court, but they weren't really doing aggressive shows at that point. Like 03, 04, they started doing more, but then that ended up turning into the Rutledge, which is now Martin's Barbecue downtown.
Yeah, I've played the Rutledge before they took it down.
Yeah.
Now, where would people go to see bigger metal shows at this time? Hardcore shows that wasn't a thing. We didn't have a marathon. Music Works yet.
No, it would be the Muse.
That's where the bigger shows would be.
I remember. I think it was 2003. Blindside played there, and it was like definitely oversold. To I remember the owner coming through and like asking people to go out back, so that when the fire marshal comes through, it looks less empty than it actually was.
He was coming through that night.
Yeah, same thing. Like there was a Poison the Well and Tsunami Bomb like Warped Tour off show that happened there. Similar situation. Like definitely oversold. Should not have been that many people, but definitely memorable. Both shows are definitely memorable.
Yeah. I think my memory of the Muse is that I got hit really hard there.
Yeah, probably.
Like there was for some reason, there was more aggressive people at the Muse that would go to shows than I had been exposed to. I think it was even Josh Cena that had moshed on me and just hit me in a way that I was just like, holy, this guy's an animal. Like,
yeah, especially like, because at one point the Muse had the stage in the corner, and once they put it where it ended up being for so many other years, it just totally opened the room up, because what used to be where that stage ended up being was a sound booth, to where then it pointed towards a corner stage, and so it was like an awkward room for a long time. So like the aggressiveness was still there, like at some shows, but not to where it turned into, for sure.
Yeah.
And even like the side stage time, like so many, it's just so funny how many big bands played there before they got big. Like Avenged Sevenfold for like 30 people. Atreyu played there a ton. My Chemical Romance I saw there with like opening up for Underoath with like the Dallas era. Unreal. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you what were some of the most insane shows that you saw there, but would you say those would be it?
Looking back, yeah. Just from like, you didn't know what you were saying at the time. Like I remember staying for like 2 Avenged Sevenfold songs and being like, meh. Same thing with like My Chemical Romance, because it's like early in their career.
This is probably when the Rev was on drums too.
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure. Like it's like that tour was right before, what's their second record, Awake the Fallen, like their big record.
Okay.
It was right before that.
Wow.
And then they never came back until they played Bridgestone, which is funny to think of. There was like a Fall Out Boy tour that happened there. That's pretty memorable. And then same thing. There was it was American Nightmare, but at the time they were called Give Up the Ghost. Every Time I Die, and My Chemical Romance show that happened there in like 2003. I want to say it was like Russ Hickman's birthday show. Absolutely unreal. But that's when My Chem was also getting like pretty big, and like a few weeks later, it's all over MTV.
Yeah.
But like you can notice the crowd was different for them.
Right.
Because it was more female focused in the crowd.
Right.
And so then the next set is Every Time I Die, and it's just chaos.
Yeah. The most chaotic band probably ever, next to maybe Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah.
So dude, like who ran the Muse, and like talk about some of the lore around that venue and what you could expect back in the day if you were to go to a show there.
I mean, it was lawless. A guy named Logan ran it, him and his brother.
That's all they did was book shows there.
Pretty much. They had some different business ventures from what I remember. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just my perception of it. I know upstairs, at one point in the back area, which was at one point considered the backstage, was like a record store called Spat Records. Upstairs used to be like a MMA gym at some point, tattoo shop at some point. So there's always like business ventures. The few shows that I did book there when I was younger, I partnered with a gal named Dixie, and she and I would do shows there here and there, but you always had a chance of it being double booked. And so there was like
8 bands show up to play.
Yeah.
like
there was
the
like
show was this week.
some weird stuff that then we would be like, okay, well, let's put this show in the front room, other show in the back room, and just trade off times.
Wow.
But it was the punk hardcore venue, lawless, no rules. Bathrooms were absolutely disgusting. Always hot in there. But then it was towards the end, and I don't know why this was, but like exposed wiring started to like come down the wall. Like I remember a friend, I think it was like a Straight from the Past show.
Like conduit for the power of the building.
Yeah, and like the pit opens and he gets pushed against the wall, and it's just a live wire just shocking him. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Yeah, I remember As Hell Retreats played there once, and I think that was on the King Conquer tour. I'm pretty sure that's what that show was. We had a couple locals, and there's like this back room. Maybe I'm thinking of the front room, but there was just some really sketchy, bizarre looking people there that were hanging out at the Muse, but they weren't there for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest, they were straight up, they were doing like hard drugs.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I like walked into that room where all those people were. It's like a couple dreadlocked people. Not that I have anything against people with dreadlocks, but it just, they were some pretty sketchy looking people. And I remember just like not like closing that door and like being like, I'm not going in there. I'm here for the show. I'm here to do our thing. Yeah. And I think I told Tyler and he was like, yeah, that kind of stuff just, he was like kind of bummed that we were playing the Muse. He's like, yeah, we're at the Muse. Like, this place fucking sucks, basically, is what he was telling me.
Yeah. I think that captures the lore right there, right? Like there was always weird.
Yeah. Like what is going on back
weird
there?
Weird characters that were there. Like I remember, and I forget the guy's name. He was a sweetheart, but there was like a homeless guy with one arm that would hang out there.
Yeah. There were also homeless people because like the Muse is like right underneath like the highway.
Yeah.
And it's close to like a corner where homeless people would post up because there's a lot of traffic. So they like hold up a sign. But yeah, it was a sketchy spot. Now, today it's a Domino's pizza. Is it still a Domino's?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I had to go in there. I had a friend that lived down the street. So I stopped and got pizza before heading over there and like talked to a kid.
We should take a camera in there and see if we can peel back the wall and see.
I was like, do you know what happened here? And he's like, well, I heard, and like named a lot of the businesses that I just named. He's like, but also a venue. I was like, yeah, it was. And he's like, did you go to shows here? And I was like, yeah. He goes, who all played? And I just named off a few and like named like Suicide Silence. And the dude had like a full on like meltdown, like a positive one of like, hold on, was it the Mitch era? And I'm like, yeah, Mitch was here. He goes, what?
Starts crying.
Yeah, like it was unreal. I was like, well, now I feel old. Thanks, man. Have a good night. And then got to my friend's house with a bunch of people, and I'm like, hey, I brought pizza. I'm like, oh, where's this from?
The Muse.
The Muse.
That's awesome, dude. You're like, I gotta get a pizza from the Muse.
I gotta try it.
Dude, Barry Donegan was on the show and he talked about the Muse, and he had some story. I'll have to rewatch that episode, but he was talking about how somebody died there or something.
I'm sure.
Like people have gotten killed there, drug disputes.
Yeah, I saw a guy get curb stomped on the back steps, like
what?
American History X style.
Shut up.
There was a lot of fights. I remember there was like a dead homeless body at the back area, and there's the street that goes by the like strip club. He was like back in the ditch back there. That a bunch of kids were like, "Oh, let's go see a dead body." And it's like, no, let's not. Come on, just leave it alone.
Really, that'll stay printed in your mind for a while.
Yeah, but even like parking there sucked, and we had to fight tow truck drivers a handful of times.
Yeah,
just because it's like it's all our culture, our venue. Let us park here, type thing. So it was definitely very lawless,
for sure. So, dude, when did like Cafe Coco and some of these other, I guess the End has always been a thing, but for a while it wasn't like a place where you would book metal and hardcore.
Correct.
It was more of just like rock and roll and singer-songwriter stuff.
Yeah, like I think PTDOWC played at the End once. Cafe Coco never really did aggressive shows until AMPM came around and worked out a deal with our connection there, Cody. So yeah, I mean, they were always there. Same thing with Exit In. Like Exit In would do harder shows. Like I remember like a Hatebreed anniversary tour came through there when I was like 18 or 19. Like Dead to Fall and A Life Once Lost played there, but it was very random, very seldom.
Yeah, just kind of few and far between.
Yeah.
So talk about when Rocketown started to become that place where kids could go to see metal and hardcore shows. And maybe even talk about the genesis of Rocketown. Just take us back to your understanding of how it started. Just walk us through, man, to where you are working for Rocketown, if you can.
Yeah. So Rocketown like got recreated again because I mean it's based off of Michael W. Smith's song called Rocketown. And after Columbine in '99, he wanted to open a place up for the youth to have a place to go to, so they did it downtown this time. Rocketown opened February 2003, and it was definitely very churchy at first. I would say probably 2004 or so is when it started being what it, like that was like the genesis of what it became.
And who's responsible for bringing like the heavier bands to Rocketown?
A lot of it was around like Mark Mosley was who originally was a part of a group called Music City 6, and then that developed into Music City Booking shortly after. I think Music City 6 was around 2003 or 4, and then once that disbanded, Mark just took Music City Booking, but he would be the promoter. He came, I think, moved here around 02 or 03. I could be wrong, but from Syracuse, and just became the guy. And so he would bring it in to where then they started opening up to more local acts. Like when I was in Fridays Montana, we would play there. We actually got in trouble because we didn't have merch, but we wanted to make money. So we had like bake sale. And then they told us that we couldn't sell it because they had a coffee bar upstairs and go against their business.
You can't sell food, guys.
And it's like, okay, well, we're going to. But then I got to know there's a guy. So originally the venue manager was a guy named Josh Stump, who ended up was the pastor at the Anchor, is the pastor at the Anchor. Then that transferred over to a guy named Sam Barnhart, who was the bass player of Bleach. And then from there, a guy named Kelly Davis, who between Josh, Sam, and Kelly is when I was really booking shows there, from like a mixed genre for either Fridays Montana or PTDOWC. And so around that 04, 05 era, it really just started taking off tremendously.
Wow. So yeah, like it was just, I guess Rocketown was the place where all the shows took place during that time for a few years, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and even like there was a point in time I moved away for a few months and had like a going away show there that was like, I don't know, 100 kids in the coffee bar. And like a weird, like I never saw that stage set up the way that it was for that show, but absolutely unreal. And then when I came back.
Was this with Alcina?
No, this was with like Perpetuating. So there's a band that I ended up joining in Phoenix called Kill the Last Hour for a hot minute. Things didn't work out, and so I ended up moving back, and which is where then I started to form Alcina shortly after I got back.
Okay. So you moved away you only made it 2 months?
You're like, man, I gotta Phoenix get back. Was fucking terrible. I got sold a bag of soiled goods, and definitely had to get out of Dodge.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad I went through it, learned a lot from it. However, it made me even more hungry to like do a band, book shows again, all of that. So I forget what show it was. I want to say it was like Throwdown was headlining at Rocketown. That was like my first like big show back. And it was so awesome to like walk up and just see so many friends in line and whatnot.
Yeah, that's awesome. So dude, how did Alcina start? And who was in the band originally? And you guys have done several like reunion shows, which is sick, man. Like, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So it was me, and then a guy named Brandon Keyser, who played in a band called Years of Dawn at the time, and then a guy named Taylor Elias, who was on bass, who played shortly, and They Said We're a Ghost.
Didn't Keyser play in a band with Ryan Rado?
Yeah, Worker.
Yeah, that's
I was
right.
also
I've
in that
seen
band
them
for a short time. Keyser and I have known each other since junior high. And then a guy named Kyle Erickson, who was in a band from Jackson, Mississippi called Legends Never Die, who had some, notoriety around the area from like local shows. And then this amazing mammoth of a drummer named Matt Skiltis, who was my best friend's college roommate. Like, dude is a human metronome. And so we formed in October of 2005, and then just went full speed. Didn't look back.
And how did you guys write songs? Did you do it in a garage or something?
Practice
in a practice space?
Yeah, so Murfreesboro, I mean, if you're around in 05 to probably 12, like off of like Church Street, there's so many different practice spaces, garage, like just units.
Well, I think punk bands still to this day practice there.
I hope so.
Like I just had a Baited Massive Flesh. They're kind of a Murfreesboro band. I think that's where they practice at.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that exact facility, but they
there's like a cluster to where I forget the street name, but there's like a cluster of like 5 different units all within a mile of each other that I know used to host bands at least.
Yeah.
And we even like one of the reunion shows, we went back to one because the guy who was playing bass for us in that, Justin Harriger, his band still practice out of them. So
Yeah,
it was cool to
it's
be
wild.
back to one. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you guys play? Did Alcina ever tour?
Yeah, ton. We would try to do 2 weeks here and there, and then we had a handful of like full US tours. Probably our best one was with a band called 100th before they really took off. Started out real shitty, but once we hit the Southeast, it was huge. But we're mostly regional. Few times that we went out West Coast, we did have good responses and whatnot. And this is like in the era of MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
So like no algorithm to fight against. So it was really easy to like get plays and do what we needed to like spread that word. But definitely probably should have toured more.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's hindsight is 2020 with stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember during that MySpace era just trying to find other Tennessee bands, and around that time, like it was probably 2005, I found the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza, and I think they had put out Danza 3. So maybe this was later, maybe this was like 07 or 08, but that Danza 3 record, man, like I used to listen to that so much, and I even reached out like, hey, I play 8-string guitar, do you guys need another guitar player, like this whole thing, and they hit me back and were like, cool. We don't need anybody at this time, but thanks for reaching out. And unfortunately the original guitar player for that band passed away recently.
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah,
such a sweetheart. Like I don't know if we ever played a show with them, but we always knew of each other.
Yeah.
And like I would go see them and Destroy at a terrible bar called the Burrow in Murfreesboro, and Brad was just always super nice, genuine, like all those guys were back then.
Yeah. What an insane band. And of course Josh Travis too, what an incredible guitar player. I mean, I would consider him to be an influence of mine. He really, like, now all the hardcore and metal bands and metalcore bands are using like pitch shifting and different tunings and stuff like that, but he was like the first guy to do that, to really reimagine the 8-string guitar as like this other thing other than like how Meshuggah used it, you know, which is really, for me, that was a huge deal. But apparently Danza is coming back.
Furnace Fest.
That's gonna be nuts. Dude. Awesome. How many Furnace Fests have you been to, man?
Every one since they've come back.
Wow.
I always wanted to go as a kid, but instead of Furnace Fest, I went to a Crazy Fest up in Louisville. And so once it came back, like I had the old school Furnace Fest DVD back in the day. So I always knew of it, but needed to experience it.
So that was like a huge, like metal fest that they used to do, or hardcore fest.
Yeah. It was like, I would say pseudo faith based, because they would have bands like 18 Visions and Throwdown and whatnot, but then they would also have like Squad 5-0, I think, played it one year, and like 5 Iron Frenzy, and some of those like Tooth and Nail, Solid State, CCM-esque bands mixed in with like American Nightmare, Every Time I Die, Andrew WK. It's a very mixed genre build.
Yeah, that's still kind of how it is today. There's some Christian bands that play, but then there's there's just a lot of sick bands that play. And this is this in Montgomery, Alabama?
Birmingham.
Birmingham, yeah. It's like a historic site, right?
Yeah, this Lost Furnace, allegedly haunted too, but yeah, it's like I want to say it's a national historic site.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I know in Huntsville during like World War II, like I walked through like this one building. It's now like a collective art space, but it was like a boot factory. They made all the boots for all the troops in World War II at this factory. It was interesting. It was crazy, man.
That's wild.
We were in Huntsville for a wedding earlier this year, and Huntsville is doing a lot of cool hardcore shows too.
It is.
Man. Like, it's
cool.
Popping off.
Yeah, Perpetuator and PTDOWC used to play down there a lot.
Yeah.
We were kind of known for spray painting a certain rocket that's no longer there. But yeah, there's one show, I forget, the Flying Monkey is what the venue was called. But Maylene opened up. It was before they really got any notoriety. But I remember Dallas, the singer of Maylene, just throwing Stetson cologne everywhere.
Oh my God.
And so then we get back in the car to drive home, and we all just reeked of Stetson cologne. Oh, to this day, I just hate that smell.
Wow.
Yeah.
He just wanted to
just tossing like it was holy water.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to a couple coffee shops, and like every coffee shop had like a metal or punk show flyer. I was like, what is this, man? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, Huntsville's cool.
There's definitely a resurgence. Like at one point when we were doing AM PM, we branched out and started doing stuff more in Huntsville and Birmingham. And it's really cool to like see it all come back around.
Yeah, it's awesome. No Cure too. I've been following them. Like that band just keeps getting
unreal, bigger
and bigger, and like they're not only playing shows and but they're booking other shows too. Blythe is booking a lot in that area, Huntsville and Birmingham, and I'd love to get him on the show at some point too. But dude, talk about like the transition from the old Rocketown building, what the shows were like, to then the new building. And so you worked there when they had the old building on 6th Avenue?
Yeah, so I started July 2006.
Okay.
I stopped by. So prior to that, I was working for Music City Booking as like a loader, which just happened because I was in the right place, right time. Like I had a relationship with Mark, and he really got me set up for, if it wasn't for him, probably would not have been set up for what happened after. So yeah, I stopped by because some band left some stuff there, so I swung by and got it. And then the manager at the time yelled from like the top balcony when I was getting in my car, like, "Hey, do you want a job?" And I was like, "Doing what?" And they're like, "Security." And I was like, "How much?" It said $10 an hour, which back then I'm like, "Yeah,
that's better than
let's do it."
Walmart.
And like their idea was, well, you are one of the main instigators for a lot of the chaos here. So if we pay you to help control the chaos, then it's a win-win.
We're gonna try to reform Wes Breedwell.
Well, and it's like I remember they called me up like, "All right, fill out an application." And I remember seeing the application and like you had to put what church you went to on it, and I was like, I asked them, I was like, "No, I don't do this."
First Baptist. That's what
and
she put
they're
down.
like, "Don't worry, you don't have to put anything." And I was like, "Okay." And so from July of 2006 onward, mostly did security, but would also promote shows as my own.
Let me ask you this, man.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your flow, but you're kind of an instigator, right? You're kind of a rule breaker. How do you think you became that way, man?
Like, how did I become a rule breaker?
How did you, what made you want to kind of like push the envelope of the rules?
I think it was really just kind of growing up in the scene that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Both from a putting fun in dysfunctional family setting, but then also, going to shows at the Muse and kind of learning, like, that's how it was. Yeah. Or is. And really just try to push the envelope. Yeah. To where it's, respect the culture that you're bringing in. And if you don't respect it, then, because even like back then, like they had contracted security running like pit security and stuff. Right. They had no idea what they were doing. So, someone's moshing and you see a big burly guy in a blue shirt, grab him
and kick him out. Right.
And we're just going to swarm that guy. Like, don't touch my friend. He's not doing anything wrong. Yeah. And so like many a times, like I'm sure some friends could probably tell stories of me being the instigator and going up and punching rock solid security for touching my friend. Or even there's like a story, I got put in handcuffs at a high school during it. They said we're a ghost set because a cop, some kid started moshing and a cop tried to like grab him and I pushed the cop, which probably should not have done, but
and then you got handcuffed.
Yeah, and it was bad. There's like free West chants, pretty wild. But I guess it's also I'm not a big fan of injustice. Yeah, and so that's also a driving factor too. That if I see it as an injustice, like I'll be the bigger dog.
Yeah, I think that's good, man. Now you were raised in the church, right?
Correct. So
at what point in your life did you kind of walk away from that or not want to be involved in that anymore? And for what reason do you think? Like, what was going through your mind and your heart when you were going through that?
There was a church that we went to that on Wednesday nights in youth group, like we'd all bring in music, and I found out about like aggressive bands like, I mean, POD Southtown was like a big record for me to like find like, oh, this band's Christian, this is cool. You can hear like the DJ scratches and shit like that.
Yeah, that's
like unreal like,
record.
At like a church camp, right? And then that started really flowing of like just meeting other kids and like trading music, to where like that Wednesday night youth group that I'm referring to would bring in music, and it was my turn to bring in. I brought in a Zao record, which they did not like. He broke the youth pastor broke the CD and like threw it in the trash.
Oh yeah.
The following Sunday, the pastor got up and preached about if you listen to the rock beat, Christian or not, you're going to hell. And I just stood up and walked out.
What kind of a church was this?
A Baptist.
Yeah. So I wonder if like, because I know that's a common thing to say in the independent fundamental Baptist world, and whether you were at is it IFB? My wife's family grew up in that, and my wife's very against IFB. So whether your church was IFB or not, it probably was influenced by that movement.
I'm sure,
because it was huge in the 80s.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the main pastor was like basically a child molester and stuff like that. But we won't unravel that right now. But so having a pastor, having an authority figure break your favorite CD, how did that make you feel?
Oh, it's an injustice. Yeah. And so then you start questioning why.
Did you like repent when you got home that night? Were you like, I'm so sorry I brought this evil CD into church?
Oh,
you knew that it was like whatever you were listening to was good.
Yeah. Like, I think around that time too, there was a fest that happened in Memphis called One Festival, and like Project 86 and Living Sacrifice, No Innocent Victim, Figure 4 played.
Yeah, I remember all those
like,
bands. Yeah.
Like huge Christian fest that I think only happened 1 year. And so I found out a lot but more music from like samplers and whatnot there. So like I knew it was Christian. And so like I knew that this wasn't fair, that like there is no open mind here. Like, you're not right. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm not going to say I'm wrong. And so that really opened up a wormhole of, well, if they're wrong about this, what else are they wrong about?
Yeah.
And so then I started questioning more in that church, and even like going to other churches, because we went to a lot as a family, always questioning like, why is it this way? Why is it like this, the law of your book, when there's X, Y, and Z happening, or, you know, children with cancer and leukemia? Like, do you think that's fair?
Yeah.
So if I do X, Y, and Z and just pray and say I'm sorry, then I'm good. And especially it really culminated probably when I was around 18, when I moved to Phoenix. My dad and I got into it because I denounced my faith going home from church one day. It's like, this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. And he had a tough time with it. I told him my reasons why, and he ended up calling me when I was in Phoenix, because the church that they were at the time, the pastor pretty much left a note for his wife and came out of the closet and went with his partner.
Nice.
And he wasn't mad about that. He was more mad about the church backlash to like the family and the kids and everyone, and what was just being said in the church that's not helpful or productive. And he called me and apologized. But then even post that, like, I think because of my upbringing, I always struggled with, do I believe or do I not? And a lot of Alcina shows, you could see that play out, because that was a way for me to get those frustrating, confusing feelings out on stage. Yeah. Because we even tried to be a Christian band at one point.
Right.
Which it was tough.
It sounds like the way that people reacted to you was out of fear, and maybe they were just trying to protect you.
Sure.
You know, like, I think that youth pastor probably was like, we got to protect other kids. You know, Wes likes this, but there's like little Susie over here who's 11.
Well, especially listening to Zao and just that demonic scream that guy has.
I mean, was it Dan who was singing at the time? Yeah. I mean, and I think Zao identified as a Christian band, at least for a few years at the beginning. But I think it's fear. I think at least during that time in in just like American culture,
for sure,
people were just afraid of exposing their kids to different things. I remember I went to like a heavy show in my hometown, St. Charles, Illinois, and it was a battle of the bands, right? And one of the bands was like a super heavy, like screamer band, right? I had never seen anything like that. I just begged my dad. I was like, I got to get to the battle of the bands, Dad. You please take me to this. And he took me to it. And then I remember he prayed for me after the show, because he's like, please protect my son, God, you know, from this kind of music.
What year is that?
This was probably like 98 or 99. I was like going into middle school. I was like really young. I had just started acoustic guitar. So like all I could think about was guitar and music.
Sure.
So when I saw that Battle of the Bands flyer, like in the newspaper, you know, I was like, I have to go to this. Like it was just such a rare thing. And I went, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, but going home, my dad like was like, you can't be involved in that. And what's funny is like that's exactly what I'm involved in today. You know, like the
I remember
stuff.
like my dad flipping his lid about me coming home with like Sharpies on my nails and like wanting to dye my hair a different color. That's what he thought. Yeah. And I think a lot of it stirs from just how our parents' upbringing was. Yeah. And then like it really started in the Reagan era, and then I feel like there was like a family unite type movement in the 90s. Yeah. But then you have like Columbine, and then you have 9/11, and it's all back to back to where then it's just, I want to protect my kid from evil in the world. Yeah. Well, it's all evil.
I don't really blame them for wanting to protect, but I think having a level of awareness, like if that was my kid, I would be like reading articles. I would be going on websites, getting a heavy magazine to see what this stuff is all about.
Yeah, you know? I used to print out lyrics.
Parents, I guess they don't have time for that. Like I don't know, man. Like,
I used to give my parents lyrics to what I was listening to.
Yeah,
just proactively
to submit them. Yeah. Like, see, this is a Christian band.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now every band that I went to go see was a Christian band, as far as they knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
dude.
band
was. Adam was talking about that. Yeah. He would get his mom to drop him off at Rocketown, and he would walk up to the Muse and see like some crazy hardcore band.
And like friends, like my friends and I that would all go to shows, we were very smart about how we did it. Yeah. Because like one friend's mom did not care about anything. Yeah. So she would be the one to always drive us. Yeah. Or even if it was like, we'll be home at this time, shows run late, especially at the Muse back in the day, and it would be like, oh, I'm stuck in construction, or there's like an accident, sorry I can't be home until like 11:30.
You got your homies standing around listening.
Yeah. And then we'd all like just do it to our parents.
Speaking of broken CDs, my dad broke my Creed Human Clay CD. He didn't break it, he just threw it in the trash. And I remember like opening up the trash and looking and seeing that album that I had just got. I was so hyped on. I mean, everybody loved Creed back then. It was the best music ever. It still is. Yeah. And I just was crushed, man. And he was like, well, that music's all about being empty. And I think Creed is probably the biggest like pseudo Christian band of all time. You know what I mean? Like their stuff is very uplifting if you
I mean,
listen to the lyrics.
I went and saw them when they came here at Bridgestone, and it was a very Christian-esque set.
Yeah. I mean, no shade on my dad. Like I love that guy.
Same.
And we're just gonna approach things differently. But at that time it really bummed me out. But like I think it was just he was trying to protect me. You know, that's all it is.
Yeah, like that. My parents and I, and especially before my dad passed, like we had a lot of conversations about my upbringing in youth, which was different than my brother and sister's upbringing who are older. They had it worse than I did for sure, but they apologized about a lot of stuff. Like we didn't know what we were doing, and to your point, like probably a lot of it was driven out of fear or confusion, which then backs into lashing out in some shape or form, whether it's throwing a CD in the trash or, trying to scrub off Sharpie off of your son's nails as he's saying, no, Dad, I'm punk rock. Like we're both sides were confused trying to find their own way.
All right, Wes. So let's get back on track. Pick it back up from when Rocketown transitioned from the old building on 6th Avenue to the new building, which is still currently there.
Yeah. So we knew that we were moving, probably, 2008, 2009. And at that point, like Rocketown's hot, like 15 sold out shows a month at the minimum. You had local bands like Alcina, Plea, Alert. They said we're Ghost, Sophia, Get Your Guns. Like if any of us played together, guaranteed 1,000 to 1,500.
That's
paid.
crazy, dude.
And so through that, you know,
what was the cap at the old venue?
Well,
1,000.
First cap was 1,500. Second cap, meaning the fire marshal came in after the Great White incident that happened in Rhode Island.
Oh yeah,
and knocked it down to like 700, which someone at Rocketown went over their head with a board connection, and we ended up at 1132. But with that 1132, we had a white line as like a fire lane pretty much inside the venue, and the fire marshal will drop by often to make sure that we're doing it, which was very hard to do during metal hardcore shows because of that pit expanded to where like we all had like a text alert get sent out if they showed up, and that security, like even if it's like a Copeland was playing or something, if people were standing against the wall, we'd have to be like, hey, can you stand inside the line real quick? Because of that. But yeah, so I mean, but we'd always try to sell to 15. Level 1 was 300. And so even back then I would do split shows to where Alcina would play the small stage because technically the cap at that point would be 1,500. So then we would just pack in that smaller room.
It's crazy. So this is kind of maybe a silly question, but would the bands make money when you would play these shows? Did Rocketown pocket all the money, or did the bands get to split the door with each other?
It depended. If it was my show and there was like a agreed split of some sort, we would. A lot of the time, if you're like opening up some of those shows,
you're not getting paid.
No. Yeah, but it really just depended. Like, because like if it was like Alcina's CD release or Please CD release, it was usually my show. The venue would take their cut. And then depending on what agreement we had, we would split it accordingly. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. So what year did they build the new building?
Yeah, so it started being built, I guess it wasn't built. It was a Groom's Engine was what the business was in there. It was like an engine factory for the main building.
Right. Turning it into
because we had to get out because of Music City Center being built. So where old Rocketown is if you're on Korean Vets, like where the police precinct is on 6th Ave and Korean Vets, pretty much the 2 lanes next to the police precinct down was old Rocketown.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw the construction moving our way. And we would, it got so frustrating because they were having to, do dynamite stuff, and they wouldn't let us know sometimes. And we would have a line start forming for a show like 8 a.m. And so then like we start hearing the horns, and we would do a mad panic trying to get people inside, just because they were supposed to tell us, didn't, etc. So it got to the point where there was a deal made for us to leave early. I don't know much about it. I don't want to get in legal trouble for assuming, but definitely certain board members had certain husbands who were the leader of said project. So definitely got a kickback to move out early, which wasn't ideal, but it just because we would go straight into the White Building. We had a week to do it. The last show was a Travis Fest, and then a week later we had to have the White Building open because we had stuff lined up.
Yeah, but wasn't the White Building purchased like later on?
No, it was part of the first phase that we had planned.
Okay.
Because there's overall 3 phases to the new building.
And real quick, give me the 3 caps for each of these rooms so people know what size they are.
The White Building, roughly 500. Main building was 15, and then Flex Room was 130.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I've tried to spit some numbers on that, and I feel like I'm way off. Because I thought White Building was like 800 or something like that, or
technically
750.
Technically the full thing was 750, but only sellable was I think like 535. If I remember right.
That was a cool place for shows. Man.
I loved it.
White Building was awesome.
That was my baby.
Perfect size. Plenty of room to mosh.
Yeah.
They had drinks for sale. Mm-hmm. You could get a Gatorade. There's a nice, clean bathroom. It was just awesome, man.
Yeah. It was, and that was only supposed to be a temporary building because we had 3 phases. phase 1 is how we started. And then because the main venue didn't open until August or September of 2010. And then there was supposed to be a phase 3 where the so those concrete slabs, there's the outdoor park and the basketball goals. That was going to be its own standalone building to be the skate park. There's going to be a sky bridge that connect the two, which would have offices and stuff. And then where the skate park is still today, the closer side to the coffee bar was going to be like a 750 cap venue, which would replace the white building. And then on the other side of that wall, there's going to be a small basketball court, but then also practice spaces for bands. So if you're a local band or whatever, kind of like a Diamond Studios or SIR type scenario.
Yeah.
Correct.
But they never did all that stuff.
No, but if you go to the skate park now, if you look in the ceiling, you can see all the rigging points that they preemptively did to get ready for it.
Wow.
Just, we lost funding. A lot of it had to do with what ended up transpiring, both from a committee being formed, but then also backlash from me leaving.
So what happened, man? I just remember like waking up one day and seeing like something on Instagram, and you were wearing a shirt that was like a pro gay marriage shirt, which that was kind of a hot issue at that time with like the Obama presidency and all of that stuff. And I lived with you and RC, and everyone worked with Rocketown, and that was like a big part of our lives, during that time. And I just remember like you came home from work one day and you were like, this is not good. Like, I don't know what's you're basically telling me, man, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Like, I'm probably going to get fired. But what happened, man? Like, so back then?
It honestly started with the committee being formed. So Cody, when he was on your show, talked about the Whitechapel video shoot. That is true. Whitechapel has been ingrained in the Nashville scene for years. Like, majority of them were in a band called Red Winter Dying back when PTDOWC was forming.
What's the name of the band?
Red Winter Dying.
Red Winter Dying, okay.
And then through their Whitechapel formed. Like, Whitechapel was playing like Alcina CD releases, and we were going up to Knoxville to play their shows, and etc. And so having that relationship with those guys for so long, at the day after the music video shoot, I get asked of like, what's your relationship with Whitechapel? What can you tell us about them from my manager perspective? Because we have an end of the night report where we'd be like, and I put in there like, oh, I talked to Phil for X, Y, and Z, and we talked about Sleeping Giant. We, talked about the video shoot, etc. Kind of as like a recap of what happened in the day. And so got really pressured around that. With that, the board wanted to form a committee, and that is because I hate that how stupid this is going to sound. The gardener of the board chair at the time called Rocketown, an employee answered, and their question was, my 2 teenage daughters and some friends want to go to the show. What can you tell me about the band? Is it safe, etc.? And
the Whitechapel show.
Yeah. And so
which was also a video shoot.
Correct. Yeah. I want to say Danza played. And the employee was like, well, very honest, and was like, probably not the right show for them. Mostly because of how aggressive and whatnot the environment would be, etc. So my understanding of that conversation is then the gardener called the board chair being like, who is this band playing at your place? She dug into the lyrics. And then you can kind of see where that goes to where I remember in a staff meeting, they broke it down to us. And I was very livid, of course. Yes, they're my friends, but also like we've had committees before at Rocketown. But the only 2 bands that ever got denied playing there was Jeffree Star and the Millionaires.
So what was the committee called, and what was the idea behind them forming a committee?
To double check lyrics. So you had to have your lyrics approved, right? So like when they were breaking it down to us, I'm of course, emotionally immature and lashing out, being like, well, I'm not a Christian, so are you guys going to fire me? That's when a target got put on my back. So long story short, we, like what the music venue staff would always do, like we had a sense of ownership because of how much that we put our blood, sweat, and tears into the scene, the community, to build an even greater community. And so like we knew we had to then do something. So of course we would abide, but so many times I would tell bands like, hey, send me, like, if you were in a local metal band, like, send me clean lyrics. Or if it was a agent hitting me up, I would scrounge, because you had to submit 3 songs. I would scrounge for lyrics to find that were clean, to then submit through, so then I can still book the show. But then with that, there was a big gap because bands got denied left and right, because some committee members, and they're all staff members in different capacities, would say yay or nay. But then I had all these show offers to where that's how AMPM kind of got formed, was like myself, Grant Evans, and Chase Wilson all did the same type of show. So let's do it under one banner. But then that way I could still work at Rocketown, but then still have AMPM. So long story short, I knew something was going to happen a lot longer before it did. At that point, Alcina's broken up. I'm trying to get salary position there because working hourly there was great, and unless it was a slow season, then I'm like scrounging for change. I have to get odd jobs. So after a staff meeting one day, the executive director at the time was like, hey, Wes, take a walk with me. So we're like walking, and I figured I'm about to get like reprimanded for how lashing out I've been about the committee and about all these new changes, etc. And we get to a point where like we're still walking, and I'm like, hey, if you're just gonna fire me, just tell me. And she didn't. She just looks like, keep going. We get across the, like, off the property, and she straight up tells me, she's like, I'm telling you this out of love and respect for you. You're never gonna get salary. They won't do it.
Yeah.
The board knows you're not a Christian, and they won't approve it. And I'm like, okay, should I leave? She's like, you have a target on your back. You can do what you want, but I think you should stay just to see what happens. She knew that she was on her way out because she got asked to leave due to political differences. Because she won a dinner with who was president at the time, and the board did not like that either. So I ended up staying. A few months later, my boss at the time asked me to lunch, which wasn't out of the ordinary. We went to Baja Burrito. Shout out Baja.
Love that place. Oh my God.
We're sitting there talking, and then she's like, hey, I have to do this. Like, I don't want to do this. But then gives me a write-up for the shirt. And so that's number one, right?
Is this like a 3-strike situation? Yeah.
So in the shirt, it tries to like reference the employee handbook about dress code, which if you ever went to a Rocketown show or went to Rocketown in general, what dress code? I bought the shirt there from Hostage Calm. I support same-sex marriage. We even had LGBTQ employees. Like, very weird thing to hone in on, but hence target on my back. So then, of course, livid by it. And few weeks or months pass, and then myself and 2 other employees get called in for a verbal warning because the 3 of us posted on our private social media accounts a group picture from a Friendsmas, that in the picture there were 2 other friends who don't work at Rocketown pretending to give a blowjob to a midget blow-up doll. And so I start putting some pieces together of like, okay, there's a snitch or a mole, like whatever you want to call them, feeding this information to the board, and then it's getting passed down of what to do. Because in that meeting, it was my boss and another director having it, to where I was able then to say the person's name and figure out, which their reaction, of course, gave it away. And then so, of course, we're livid. We end up telling some friends and some old coworkers about it. One old coworker posted 3 pictures, like one of each of us, and just said like, this person does not deserve clouded bullshit. And another friend posted a very similar post, but more of like, don't let the man take you down. And so I liked all of those posts. So it was like a Sunday or something. I get a meeting maker for Monday, which I was usually off on Mondays at 10 a.m. and I knew. Like, I knew something was
They're
up.
asking me to come in on a Monday.
Yeah, I knew.
It's over.
And so showed up, walked in. The meeting maybe took about 10 minutes. Like, it was my boss and the other director, same situation. And they were both like, we don't want to do this. Even that manager has come, like, we've had a great relationship for years still. Because I know that they did not want to do it. They admitted, like, that's been their biggest regret about their tenure there. And so went home, just numb, pissed. A lot of, like, my identity, what it felt like, because I put so much into that job building role, especially with all this.
Tattoo on your on your wrist.
Yeah, a bunch of us got
Rocketown
this
symbol. Yeah, I remember when you got that.
It's the old school one. They like went through, like, they spent like something like $20,000
rebranding.
Yeah, and it was just like, we're all living paycheck to paycheck, and you want to rebrand? But yeah, so like a bunch of us have the tattoo. But yeah, so I ended up going home.
Now, quick question, like, did they ever, like, sit you down and say, you know, Wes, like, this is a Christian organization. No. Like, we understand that you know, you have maybe a different philosophy of life or whatever. We love what you're doing. You're booking all these shows. You're keeping people safe. You're doing a great job, but you can't have any politically charged rhetoric related to your job at Rocketown. They never just like had a level-headed conversation like, hey, Wes, like we know that your beliefs are different from that of Rocketown. We still like the work that you're doing, but you can't have, like, politically charged stuff on your shirt or whatever like that.
No.
Okay.
No, and even, like, from a venue and skate park perspective, because we're all kind of cut from the same cloth, there are a lot of us out there that just didn't care about the religious side, but more cared about bettering the community.
Yeah.
There was a board member at the time. I think he ended up becoming board chair. He wanted to talk to me about why I have a lack of faith, which I entertained. But that was like, wasn't like a warning. It was more of like, you are being proposed as the new face owner of the venue.
Yeah.
I want to know more about you. But some of the questions he asked were very like, I don't think you can ask these. Just even from a board member to employee perspective, definitely illegal, especially being a 501c3 non-religious, which is what they were claiming.
Yeah.
But then around that time is when the tides really turned to become more church-like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like, it could have been something really special, and they could have been like the premier place to see a heavy show.
Unreal.
I mean, they're hiring security. Like, it was the safe, drug-free, alcohol-free place. But they wanted to do this overarching thing, which I, like, to play devil's advocate, like, you're working for a Christian organization. Like, my brain goes to like, well, Wes, why would you wear that shirt to work? You know, like.
Well, I mean, that's what a lot of the Reddit comments said too when everything blew up on the internet. And it's
but you were just being yourself, and you knew there was kind of a gray area with this workplace, right?
Yeah, but that's where, like, the Rocketown that I grew up in was not the Rocketown that I left.
People could express themselves
for sure. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we had LGBTQ plus employees that were very open about their sexual orientation, or even other people who were just open about equality in their beliefs.
Yeah.
And definitely there were some disagreements had throughout the years about faith or lack thereof, but it would always be a very more open and trustworthy conversation. But to my understanding about how everything happened, it was just I was way too vocal.
Yeah.
But it would just put a target on my back. If I probably would have just fallen in line and not instigated, then I don't know what would have happened in the long run.
Yeah, but, and I'm not even suggesting that would be the better way of handling it. I'm just like thinking like, yeah, like
Well,
you got to understand what you're up against and what the environment is. And,
Sure.
and I can understand to a degree from their perspective. They want to make it a safe place, as safe as possible. Is it good to have like Whitechapel with these violent lyrics playing their venue? I mean, I can understand to a degree. And I think a lot of it is like, where does the money come from? The people that are donating, they want to know that they're donating to like something that supports their belief system.
Yeah, I think there have been multiple venues like Rocketown across the country that I think have ended up facing the same fate.
Right.
Like there was the one in Joplin, I forget what it was called.
I've played that venue. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Pretty sure they faced a similar fate in the long run.
Bands had to sign a waiver, like we can't make any drug references, no swears, in the songs, and we all there was like 4 or 5 lines, and every band member had to sign.
We ended up having to do that during the committee era, and we were just very smart on how we proposed it to bands.
Yeah.
Because it's like, look, we even push back, like, how do you expect us to enforce this? Because even like the production manager at the time, sound guy, was like, so if someone cusses, you want me to turn them off? They're like, yes. He's like, are you going to have security surrounding me? Because we all know what's going to happen. Like, you're asking for something bad to happen. And so luckily, we never did that.
Yeah.
Like, there's even times certain employees would come up to me or the production manager and be like, turn them off. And we would just look at them and say, no. Like, let's just avoid the controversy.
Yeah.
It's not the point of this.
You cut the mic and then 1,000 fans turn around and are like, what the heck? Turn his mic on.
Yeah.
That's just making for a really bad time.
And that's where it's like, to kind of like challenge the theory of like, well, should a band like Whitechapel or whatever? I remember having a conversation with a board member at the old building about Cannibal Corpse. And I asked him, I was like, what's your main goal out of this place? He's like, well, to like reach out to kids and teach them X, Y, and Z about Jesus. And it's like, okay, well, do you want to talk to the same wall of just having Christian kids come in because they allegedly already know that, or do you want to reach new people and give them whatever you want to give them?
Yeah.
And try to like break down that barrier of like,
I agree with that.
Open it. Just open it.
Yeah.
And if people find, whatever they're looking for, whether it is faith-based or whether it is they just need a stern talking to, or they just need an outlet. They just want somewhere to go that's clean. You have we've mentioned clean bathrooms numerous times talking, and it's like just a clean place to shit. Like,
well, you can't, it's not the type of venue where you're going to go outside in between sets and there's going to be 50 people smoking cigarettes out there.
Right.
That stuff's not allowed. They have outside security. I mean, it could have been like the place where
huge
a young person could see, a non-Christian band, a Cannibal Corpse, I suppose, if they just to understand what it is.
Yep.
But I think
so many kids, like there's an infamous MSI show, like Mindless Self-Indulgence. A handful of like volunteers end up coming up and like learning more about the hardcore scene and whatnot because that was their first show. Or like Broken Side, like terrible music. And they would just learn about volunteering at Rocketown, and then that just opened up their world to more.
Yeah.
And that's what I absolutely loved about it.
Yeah, I think they kind of turned it into this splitting hairs thing. Like, we're gonna make sure that this is a Christian organization, a Christian venue. But I think the result of doing that is like they didn't have shows anymore, really. Mm-hmm. Like they closed the door on that. And you know what they became? They became like a church rental building.
Yeah, it's a YMCA for sure.
Yeah, and it's just like, what is that? You had access to a whole bunch of people that maybe would have been receptive to Christianity too, if you want to look at it from an evangelical standpoint. I think for a while it was the home place for kids that didn't fit in anywhere and needed a safe place to go see some music.
Yep.
And they closed the door on that because they wanted to make it a Christian only environment. And the funny thing is Christian music and Christian metal even kind of around that time collapsed in on itself. Mm-hmm. And everybody walked away. I think it's part of a broader cultural shift towards I guess diversity and inclusion and honestly, in my opinion, leftist beliefs. I think a lot of people that were in Christian metal bands and part of a Christian metal scene, a lot of people deconstructed their faith.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. I was very confused during that time. I was like, what is happening? Like, Christian metal was such a huge thing. It was such a huge part of my life, and all my friends are walking away from their faith. That's how I felt.
Yeah. I saw it as more like some people were being held accountable from that perspective, especially as social media became more of a platform to get whatever your message or music is out. And then there were certain bands and people who said some wild things, and that they would be asked to leave the band because it affected numbers. I mean, at that point, all of those bands are then turning into a business. And so then what's more important, of this single person guy's belief that no one agrees with in the band, or y'all's belief in the business, which I think business will win every day.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the thing that really breaks my heart is these bands that called themselves a Christian band, but they were just out on the road doing heinous things, like sleeping with girls and underage girls. Like, there's so many aspects of just, being in a touring metal band that the Christian bands were no different, man.
Nope.
And they, on stage, they try to portray this other thing, like this holier than thou kind of persona, and then behind closed doors they're doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah,
and I hate that.
Saw it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, just the access I had, so much.
Yeah.
And of course it
wheeling
changed.
some booze in the green room or something, and they're supposedly like this Christian. I don't know, man.
Yeah, like not like, it's more of like being promiscuous and stuff like that while on the road. And it's like, pretty sure you're married, but not my place to judge.
Yeah.
I'm going to judge because that is a very big contradiction of what you're doing there, sir. But
right.
And even, but it was weird because even as a non-believer, I was the guy who booked a lot of the Christian hardcore stuff. Like, flew in Sleeping Giant for like their first East Coast show, just because Alcina and Plea played with them in California, and I just asked them, like, what would it take to get you out to Nashville? Because I saw from a business perspective of like, I know the hype is there.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do to make it happen? And made the deal, flew them out, huge show.
Sick. People
from all over the Southeast came in to, like, and this was at Old Rocketown before Sleeping Giant then even toured and would do Cornerstone and all that. And even like some friends were like, but you don't believe? And I was like, yeah, but these riffs are fucking awesome.
This band's sick.
Like,
yeah,
Behold the Pale Horse.
Yeah,
sick.
Exactly. Like I love Impending Doom so much.
Yeah.
And people that weren't even Christian were loved that band.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's all about the riffs, man. It's all about just making great music with Blood Comes Cleansing. There's so many just sick Christian metal bands. And unfortunately, like that, I think that bubble got as big as it could be. And one of the things we talked about with Elijah Mullins when he was on the show, he was talking about how, like, even people that weren't Christians would label their band a Christian band because that was what was in at the time. That was popular. To me, that's like extremely disingenuous.
Yeah,
to do that.
And I feel like you're always going to have that any big like mountain that got formed or bubble, right?
People want to jump on.
Yeah. I mean, it was like even back in the day in like that 05 to 10 era, like, you wanted to sound like the bands that you saw, so you copied riffs. Or I would wear girl jeans because I saw Josh Scoggins wear girl jeans.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I do like tight pants or short shorts, but it's because I saw it first and then I developed that comfortableness with it. But then you see people, even like as like the scene hair became a thing, it's like you don't really see that anymore. So like,
yeah.
I don't know how many people
I don't know if that'll ever
it.
come back, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
scene hair.
I think it's the same thing as like the 80s hair metal scene. It's just very
That's never
similar.
really came back.
No.
Maybe with the darkness. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I have down here the Underoath Poop and the 2x4 story. Can you just briefly tell us what that is?
Yeah, so at the old building, there was an Underoath 2-night show that happened, and there every night we of course had to clean up the building, and so the person that was cleaning up the girls' bathroom found a turd that was like the size of a Qdoba burrito. Like we had to, it wouldn't flush. Like this big and probably about
in
this
the
big
girls'
around.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so we all thought it was hilarious. And
So everybody took photos of it. Right?
We fished it out with a paper Coca-Cola cup.
Oh my
brought it
God,
outside, broke the cup up so then everyone could see it. Try to cut it with an Amur Victory record sampler, and it broke.
Oh my God.
And so then I remembered I had fireworks in my car.
Solid brick that's been sitting inside a human for like a month.
Yeah. And like I had fireworks, and so I put them in, and then everyone just kind of quit paying attention to it, and I lit it and just started running. And
you blew up a turd?
Oh yeah, and everyone just looked and just panicked and just.
Did people get shit on them?
I don't know. I hopped in my car real quick and left. I'm pretty sure, probably. Definitely had to hose it off the door the next day.
Oh my God, man!
And then,
why would you do that, bro?
You know. So I wasn't fired for that, but I was fired for other things.
Yeah.
And then the 2x4, there was a fight that broke out in the main venue. Ended up getting a guy outside. Told him like, "Hey man, you're done. Just go to your car." He starts walking down the old back alley. And so then I'm talking to my manager at the time about it to fill in what happened. And all of a sudden, the dude comes back towards me with a 2x4.
A dude from 2x4 is approaching you with a 2x4.
Yeah. And he keeps asking me to step closer so he can hit me with it. I'm like, no. Long story short, we're trying to talk him down. Cops are getting called. There's a rock solid security guard who's our parking lot security guard for the night. And all of a sudden, he says the dude's name. Like, let's just say his name's Daniel. He goes, Daniel? And the guy, like, looks over at him and was like, you're Billy's dad. He's like, Daniel, put it down. And he goes, no, but I saw you die. And all of us were like, what the fuck is happening? I guess it was this dude's friend's dad who he thought he was dead, but is not. And was working security.
Oh my God.
The dude dropped the 2x4 and just started bawling. And then cops finally got there. That is the
weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Then the cops finally get there. Once he gets put back in the cop car, he starts getting aggressive again. It was such a weird scenario.
So, dude, what happened after you got fired from Rocketown? Like, what all transpired?
Yeah, so
after that?
I went home and I woke up. You know, my roommate who worked there at the time and was like, yep, I was right, fired. We just kind of sat there in a daze. And he was like, you know what would be funny is if you posted a picture of you in the shirt. That's what started all of it. So that's why I was like, that's why the post happened. He's the one who took the picture, which a lot of people at Rocketown didn't know.
You went to Rocketown to take the photo?
No, it was at the barn.
Okay.
And just posted it, and then I remember setting my phone down and like not like just trying to figure out what my next move was, because at that point in time I just lost my job.
Yeah.
And then probably an hour or two later I had a shit ton of missed calls. Ended up calling a friend back and she was like, why the fuck are you not picking up your phone? Do you see the internet?
The internet's on fire.
Literally the internet shut down that day from the news. I don't know if it would have been better or worse, but like Obama gave a really good speech that day because it's MLK Day 2013. It was all about equality. So you have that speech, and then 2 hours later I'm making that post. News outlets were calling, bands were calling to like, you know, like, hey, whatever you need, we have you. Talking to the guys from Hostage.com to like give them the rundown. And that was the first moment I think I've ever really identified that like this is anxiety, because my world is upside down at this point.
Yeah.
I have everyone looking for something, to where I think you were at the house that night of like, we're all watching the news. Bravo was talking about me. You have Chris from Coldplay tweeting. Like, it was just so surreal. And like,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know what to do with my hands. Luckily, some other friends like took over my phone and pretended to be my assistant and stuff like that, just so like we could not hear the phone ring. But then there were friends who still had to go to Rocketown that day to work, and they were the ones fielding the calls. because people just like trolled him hard. And it wasn't the people who did the actions, the board and that snitch, to take the brunt. It was my friends.
So people that supported you
Correct.
were calling Rocketown and saying like,
Just
this
trolling.
is
Yep.
not good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so there's picking up the calls, and that one friend who literally had to be the person taking that calls ended up showing up at the house later that night, and I knew she did take the calls, and I was the only one outside when she was walking up. And I just remember like just hugging her and telling her I'm sorry, and like we had just a good moment together, because it's like unintentionally I have caused you a very bad day at work. That was not my intention, and she knew that. But then even after that, like there was a bomb threat that got called in, which what people don't know, and I think this is kind of fucked up, is that if a bomb threat gets called, the cops don't go in and look for it. They send you in. And so that same friend had to go in and look for this bomb that was allegedly in the main building.
Oh my gosh.
But then even the week after everything, there was a big blow up with Volumes that caused a big fight to break out with our internal security and their singer, which Volumes was straight up responsible for all of it, instigating all of it, trying to capitalize on whatever this internet hype was. I was down the street at a bar because the plan was everyone's going to come from the show and meet over there, to where people had to hold me back once I heard what was happening, because it's like, I was viewing it as my fault. But yeah, ended up like just going through various anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was big news for sure, but I didn't know how big. So I have a problem with like internalizing a lot and just scenario planning in my head. And so like I'm like, well, is the news going to show up at my house? If they have my number, can they get my address?
Let me ask you this, man. When you made that post, what did you think was going to happen?
I didn't.
You just thought it was going to be a bunch of friends being like, haha, like,
well, like
that's the shirt.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of people didn't know what was happening unless you're like the close circle.
Yeah.
Right. And so I didn't think
it wasn't your intention to blow up on the internet.
Absolutely not.
And create a firestorm for your previous employer.
No, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad it happened from a negative press perspective, because even like their comms person at the time, they didn't even do a good job trying to fight the fire, because I don't think they expected it. I just posted it to more get the news out that like I'm done, because my social media at that point was mostly either the Nashville hardcore community, etc., just to like flood with show flyers, or bands, band members, booking agents, managers, like friends. So there's a way to get the word out like, hey, I'm done. But that's all my intention was.
Yeah.
To where even like I made a post, I think like a week or two later, that was like, hey, like chill. Like the people that you're attacking are my friends. They have a job. They need work. They're not going to quit because I left. Especially, I mean, we're all paycheck to paycheck at that point. So like, let's just chill. But then I started doing stuff for Music City Booking again. Like Mark definitely helped me out with giving me some type of income, which then I had to work shows at Rocketown, which was a blessing and a curse, because
back on security duty.
Well, it was like I was the logistics guy for Mark, so like I found all the loaders, I would be the runner, make stuff happen. I already knew the room, so
I think I did a couple shows during that time.
I'm sure.
And I remember MV hooked me up with a coat check job for this one event, and I walked out of there with like $350 in singles. Like and at the time I had no money, so I was like, thank you so much for letting me be the coat check guy.
Straight up, back in the day,
it was some gala,
if you got like, the coat check gig for like a rental,
I was so sick, dude.
It was awesome.
I was so grateful, and I think I loaded a couple shows around that, and you might have been the one that was
probably,
hey man, we need a couple guys to come and load a show.
I was usually the guy, like Mark would tell me, hey, I need 5 guys. So I had like a ABC group, or like whoever's new who's mentioned it before, like, hey, if you ever need it, that way, like, kind of go down the list and see who I could get. Or like there are some shows, like we did Paramore at War Memorial, and we had to have like 20 people. So we were literally just grabbing whoever we could find that, like, you're a warm body, can you lift stuff, Can you follow directions?
Yeah.
Follow us.
Those were fun times, man.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and like,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was nice, though, because my replacement got hired pretty quickly. A guy named Bobby Harris. And Bobby and I developed a great relationship because I had no ill will towards him.
I know that dude. I went to church with him.
Amazing guy.
At the Anchor.
I ended up training him, which I think he would admit that, like, because there was no process and procedures. It was all tribal knowledge. And so, like, I even showed him how to open and close the door, show him where everything was. Even, like, a intern who was supposed to be mine that was his, like, I kind of, like, paired up with both of them to show them the way. Because, like, I'm here. Like, I'm not going to let you flail.
Yeah.
I should, but I'm not, because it's not your fault.
Right.
But he did me a solid, because when they hired a new executive director after the last one left, he tried to ban me from the building, which Bobby kind of put a stop to, because he understood what backlash would happen. Now, was it dumb for me to show back up? Probably. But I had a source of income through Music City Booking and Mark. I'm going to capitalize on it. I'm not going to rock any boats, because it's still all my friends who are working in the venue. And so it's a easy win for me as I'm looking for an actual job outside of there.
Yeah, man. Now, looking back on that time, would you have done anything different?
I always question if I should have sued for wrongful termination.
Yeah.
I think I had a case. What really kind of like stopped me was, okay, I know litigation and all of the fun courtroom stuff will take years. Do I want to be associated as that, like a brand, as that person to go through it for a long period of time and take on the elite people of Nashville? Or have they had enough? Because, you know, to what we were talking about earlier, like, their amount of shows, et cetera, took a nosedive after that happened.
Yeah.
And so I kind of thought, I was like, well, this is enough. I think I've made my point of shouldn't have done this, because the way I viewed suing them was like, well, then all my friends would have been out of a job.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, sure, there's insurance for that type of stuff, but it's like, do I want to spend the next 4 years fighting this, or do I just want to move on? Well,
it would have been expensive for you, and you would have probably had to find some type of attorney that would take it pro bono or something like that.
Yeah, like I had one because I knew I just should be safe.
But Rocketown is going to have some deeper pockets and some better lawyers, potentially more experienced lawyers. No offense to whoever you...
No, I mean, it definitely would have been one of those situations of, we're going to draw this out until you run out of money.
Right.
For sure. Like
it
that,
it would have been something
that
like
way.
that. And and I would imagine, like I think, I don't know I don't know a lot about employment law, but I'm venturing to guess that Tennessee is like a right to work state where your company could fire you for any reason that they want to, if they just, we don't like what he was wearing that day.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a thing. So we have the legal right to fire this guy.
That was my first time finding out any about that, because you're right, it's at will state. But I think with what I had with being warned, it was planned. So it's one thing to like go through it from an at will perspective and say, I don't like to pee on your shirt, you're done. You can't prove anything from that point. But I had everything documented. I had emails saved, like all of the write-ups and verbal warnings.
Yeah.
My parents did a great job raising me to document everything. And so like I felt confident in it, but then it was the I don't want to be known as this.
Yeah. I think it's probably a good move, man, looking back. I mean, I feel like you probably helped Rocketown make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you took an hourly pay.
Yeah.
So I feel like you were still kind of taking the short end of the stick back then, whereas guys like Mark Mosley were kind of more of a deal maker. Like, you were willing to be an hourly employee,
sure, and
help book shows and bring in bands, because you have to know who these bands are. You have to know what kind of draw they're going to have. Oh, if I book this band, this show's going to go off. There's going to be 1,000 people that are going to pay $25 to see this band. I mean, we're talking about a lot of money at that point.
And like, it was interesting because, especially as I was more not on my own and more booking for Rocketown, like, Mark had the market. I mean, he was very smart and strategic with his promoter skills and Music City booking, to where, I mean, he was booking at all venues, but Rocketown was just such a niche market for him, to where, like, Reagan and I had a deep conversation of, like, all right, we want to start doing our own stuff so we can get more shows in, because then that's just more revenue, because, like, we always had to have an event Friday and Saturday night. Absolutely terrible trying to figure that out. So then that's why there's, like, movie nights and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we would take risk on, because being a promoter is all about the risk. We would take risk on, like, bands like the Wonder Years, or bands like Title Fight, or bands like, there's so many I could name from that weird 2009 to 2013
Did Title Fight
era.
do well? Did they play?
Huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say they probably
Huge.
crushed it there.
Same thing with like Touche, and then at a certain point, like, they would go up to the Mark agents, because their agents would change and whatever. But, like, we helped really build that and homegrown it. Like, became great friends with the Wonder Years just because they were just good people, and they pulled into the lot early in the morning to sleep. You just develop conversations with them. Then it's like, what else can we do? Who else could we venture out? And, like, let's just book you for a door deal and see how it happens. We're going to do everything on our side to, like, make sure you have a good show. And then through there, we build those relationships.
Yeah.
And so that's how we were able to really have a great overall, like, evolution of what Rocketown was bringing in versus what Music City was bringing in versus what I was bringing in. And same thing with, like, Chase Wilson when he was doing stuff, AM/PM doing stuff. So it really was a good working environment from bringing in just awesome bands.
Yeah, and every year you'd have the same kind of bands come back around again, you know, and you knew that, oh, well, last year we did this year, let's get them back again, and it'll be even bigger. And that from there, that's how you're growing.
100%.
Right?
Like, there'd be some bands, it's like, hey, we as a staff love y'all, and we didn't know the term influencer at the time, but any merch that we would wear, then a few weeks later, we'd book that band, and then every kid is wearing that same shirt. Like the Sleeping Giant scenario, like 2 weeks later, you see everyone in white rainbow foil Sleeping Giant hoodies.
Yeah, dude.
And all of us were wearing Sleeping Giant merch like years prior. So it's like, I don't know, cool connection, but...
No, you guys were always sporting the sickest merch back then. That's sick, dude. Yeah. Well, talk about what it's like seeing bands that played Rocketown and that were involved in the Nashville hardcore metal scene. Watching those people grow up, man. Like, what are some bands and people that come to mind?
Like As Hell and the Gideon guys. I mean, I remember meeting Tyler with, like, swoopy hair, and, like, I think he was like, we played at the God Wide Church, and he was, like, part of the interview team. Same thing with, like, I mean, like, Julian Baker's first band, the Star Killers, like, playing there a few times. Even looking at, like, people who were just volunteers who are now, like, big in the music industry. It's been really cool to, like, watch happen, and you don't know that you're watching it until, like, they reach that stature, and you're like, that's kind of cool to watch, like, look back on. Like, I remember when Tyler was a kid, or Blake Hardman. Like, I remember, I'll never forget this conversation I had with them. As Hell back in the day won a Battle of the Bands, and their prize was to open up for, like, Haste the Day. And so it was a massive main venue show at the old building. And so I went up before they went on stage to, like, wish them, you know, break a leg, good luck. And Blake, I remember talking to me being like, this is my first time playing main stage. I'm like, it's just another stage. He goes, but how do you do it? It's like, just another stage. Go out and crush it. Just do what you do.
He asked, what do I do?
Yeah.
Now look at him.
I know, it's great. I mean, it's just so much fun to see.
Blake Hardman is unstoppable, man. Like, from how he performs on stage with any band that he's ever played in, he's always just been highest energy. It doesn't matter what band he's in, he's always the guitar player off to the side with the mic for some reason, even though he doesn't sing. And the mic is there to pump the crowd up. Yeah. Like, that's kind of his role. So, yeah, dude. Yeah. Crazy, dude. Yeah, man. What about Plea, dude?
Love him. Love him.
What was your first Plea show?
There was a house show in Franklin. It was them, and they said we're a ghost. And that was the first time I ever saw Plea. Andy wasn't in the band yet. There's their original singer, Justin. John, the bass player, had the big beard but a shaved head, no shirt on, and Daisy Dukes. Like, he and I have like talked about this moment of us first meeting each other, and he was like, I was so intimidated by you, and I was like, bro, you like, I'm sure there's a picture somewhere on the internet of that show. And it's like, bro, you were terrifying. Like, you're like 6'5", 6'6".
He's a monster.
Massive guy, shaved head, and a bushy beard with just so much manhood on your chest. Like, so like that's the first time I saw them. And then, you know, through Alcina and like the T-Swig era and all of that, like we always played shows together. Like the first show that we played with them as Alcina was They Say We're Go See the Release show, which is a big show in Nashville like history, in my opinion. Because local shows back then were 30 to 50 people.
Where was that show at?
That was that main venue, Rocketown.
Oh, wow.
The bass player of They Say We're Go, Grayson Knight, came up to me and goes, hey, I want to do a show with you. It's going to be a CD release, but I think we should do main stage, which we never attempted before, and ended up doing 500 people that night, which was huge for that time. And then from there, we're like, well, let's do this again, but let's do a Halloween show instead, which is when we started doing Night of the Devil Slayers, which all of us would dress up. I mean, Plea always did a good job. I think they did Braveheart once, Marilyn Manson. But that show ended up selling out 1,500 people.
Wow.
And so that's when we knew we all kind of had something. And then, yeah, I toured with Plea for a little bit as like a merch guy. I have nothing but good things to say. I mean, Andy and I are actually tattooed on each other, because we had a wild idea for one of their CD release shows to do a $1 show. And we were going to do an outdoor show to where it's going to be in the old parking lot of the old venue. Had everything ready to go, booked, staging, whatnot. And so we were nervous about people showing up because we wanted to like have a good idea of how many people were going to show up soon. So we were talking about doing first 50 people get a free tattoo. And this was going to be the image of said tattoo, which is, you know, my face and Andy's face and our beards and bald heads making a heart. This is a way bigger version of it, but we're just going to do like simple line stuff. But we couldn't get the health board to approve it. But had like tattoo artist friends like lined up for it. So long story short about that show, very bummed that this didn't happen, but then also we had to move this show inside. And so the downside about that was, God, what's his name? Brad Paisley ended up having a fan club event in the main venue that night. And so we had to wait for them to get done to open. So the idea was, well, show probably trickle in. Let's start the first 2 bands in level 1. And then once the fan club stuff is done, let's flip the room, get the stage ready, and then open the doors, and we should line up. Good. That was not the case at all.
Is this in the old Rocketown or the new one?
Old Rocketown. And we ended up, I remember like no one went outside for the longest time because we were just trying to get everything set up in a way that's just easily movable. And we go out and look, and the line's already wrapped around the building. And we have like 2 hours to go. Wow. I mean, the charge was only $1.
Yeah.
And so we had to devise a plan to then like level 1's not going to work. To where as the line kept getting longer, we already opened doors and then started to snake around the entire upstairs, going downstairs, etc., just to allow the line room to breathe.
And who was all on the show?
It was Plea, Alcina, Alert, Glorious Unseen, and I forget who
Mixed
else.
genre, baby.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And so, yeah, long story short, Brad Paisley ends up showing up, and the manager of him, or whoever he was not happy that there was a line of kids. And started getting people like yelling at people to like get away. And at that point, I stepped outside just to check on the line, and like the dude's like grabbing kids. And I'm like, He's like, well, Brad's about to show. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna be very honest with you. None of these kids care. Like they're not here for him. They probably won't even know who he is. Like they do not care. And ended up Brad got out of the car, and I kind of broke up our tenseness. He goes in, does his song and dance. I wanted to be outside to try to convince Brad to like stay and like do a song with any band. Like just come rip guitar because he's a killer guitar player.
He would shred.
Or just like come like show up. Like how sick would that be? Couldn't get to him, but through that. So then we had to.
So you weren't able to have a conversation with him?
No,
yeah.
I wish. They got done. Brad leaves. We kick the fan club out. I'm grabbing people that I know in line and like, go ahead and pay me $1, but I need you to, like, you don't have to wait in line, but you have to help me. So we're moving tables and chairs one way, bringing in all of the first 2 band stuff to put on stage with everyone else, get everything sound checked. And then we just released the doors, and kids were coming in from all over because of all of the, line veins we had to do to then allow the line to breathe. To this day, one of the coolest shows I think I ever did, was a part of, etc. I wish it would have been outside, but it got to the point where like we sold out, and I had the old building, the backstage area was like a big bay door area. And I'm just sitting there and I'm watching kids walk. I'm like, you leaving? They're like, no, I couldn't get in. I'm like, you have $1? Pay the $1. And at the end of the night, there's different staff people just like putting dollars on our boss's desk from stuff that we collected to allow kids to come in. It's like, everyone should be able to be here and experience this. Definitely oversold. Definitely.
Dude, I love shows like that. That's
awesome.
So sick, man. Yeah. What a great memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the whole reason I moved here, man. Like, I was like, I want to be a part of this scene, dude. Like,
so, it's interesting that you say that, because I thought our scene still is, but our scene back then, especially, you saw like the stuff coming out of like the Dayton, Cincinnati, Ohio area with like Catherine and Devil Wears Prada, and there's some other like big markets that were getting a lot of big bands to from the MySpace era. But 9 times out of 10, I would put Nashville against any of them. Like, maybe our bands weren't as good or tight as them, but that scene back then, it's unparalleled.
Yeah. That's sick, dude.
And, like, we would always invite, like, the Nashville scene out or news stations for, like, CD releases or Travis Fest or whatever, and never got anything. But then, like, one of my favorite employees at Rocketown that was there, his name's Daniel Pujol, who's very known in the Nashville scene. He was in a band called Mima back in the day. He's Pujol now. But he and I had a conversation once, like, what's the difference? Because that side of the scene always got write-ups in the Nashville scene or whatever outlets. We could never get anything. They would have 50 to 100 people. We would have 1,500. And so it's always an interesting comparison that he and I would talk about, because we have the numbers to back to then, talk about us, but it would never happen.
Yeah, and this is during a time where social media is not being heavily used, like in the early 2000s or like the mid to late 2000s, and even when did Instagram start? 2012 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, I remember like getting it right.
Yep.
Like 6 months after I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, like there was, to get stuff out, especially before MySpace took off, like there was like Friendster and Makeout Club, which were like social media sites. There was like a Nashville Hardcore board that people knew to check, like a message board. And then MySpace was great to utilize, because if you posted a bulletin, there's no algorithm to not show you or to show you.
Anybody that follows that
correct.
would
you would see it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we're all very smart. Like Trevor Denton of Get Your Guns, like got really big into like HTML building and would build all of our MySpace pages for us. And then we would figure out how to take the music player out of MySpace and put it in the bulletin, and then copy and paste it all the way down as much as it would let us, because if you clicked on that bulletin, it would automatically play, and that would count as a play.
Mm-hmm.
But then same thing with flyers. Like we were very smart about how to catch the attention from like a marketing perspective. But then as MySpace was fizzling out and Facebook was becoming more of the social media platform with Instagram and etc., that's when the algorithm took over, and
yeah,
then you had to be weird with it.
Yeah, I remember like scrolling through my Instagram and like getting to the bottom. Oh, I've seen everything that my friends have posted.
Yep.
I'll check back later.
Yep.
Nowadays,
and now it's just an endless loop.
Yeah, it's just an endless and ads and viral stuff. Like I don't even see what my friends do nowadays.
Yeah.
So the old venue versus the new Rocketown venue, you talked about how like when they transitioned over, there was less people coming to shows. Like, what was the reason for that?
Yeah, I learned this lesson then. If you move buildings, you lose people, which is weird. Like, we only moved 2 blocks up.
Yeah.
Because we were on 6th Ave, moved to 4th Ave. I think part of it, what killed us was we only had the white building for a few months. And it just, the types of shows that we did, we couldn't do anything big until
the white
fall.
building couldn't handle that,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, because like we had like the Thrash and Burn tour play there that July of 2010, and we already had it booked for the main building, but since being asked to like leave early, we had to make accommodations and get the fire marshal back in to raise the cap to an actual 750 to where the big garage doors, both on the Gearhead side and the venue side, we then attached like wedding tents outside for as like overflow, removed part of the white building stage just to have just enough so that it wasn't too small of a stage, but we could fit more people in.
That's wild, man. Yeah. The amount of logistical crap that went into that is just crazy, bro.
Insane. Like, so Travis Fest being the last show, we had a week to open the white building before we kicked up shows again. We had a rider truck full of all of our staging, sound, etc., to where the fire marshal showed up for the final inspection, and I had the rider truck parked in another location to where I could see them leave. And literally, as they left, we then pulled everything back in and unloaded everything, got everything set up within 30 minutes just to have the first show. So technically, we kind of cheated the system by not having everything in there when they did the last inspection, but because we know they didn't like us. But it's just such a weird logistical like chess move, because then we had to get everything in. That same weekend was the Nashville Flood, which was unreal too, because we had staff members. We were all still working on the building. Like, we got it just enough ready to have people in it, but there's so much other stuff we had to do, like building sound boxes to make it more to sound better, because it's just a concrete building, to get K12 sprayed in the ceilings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that flood weekend definitely killed a lot of momentum we had. So it kind of took us a little bit to get back on track.
Yeah, the white building, I do remember it sounding pretty harsh in there because of the concrete floor. Yep. But it's metal.
Yeah, once you got 500 people in there, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the flood didn't affect Rocketown at all. Rocketown's up the hill.
Yeah,
right?
Old building, it did. So the old building always had flooding issues. There's like a bottom ramp that the main venue would like go out to, that trash and whatnot would kind of block the drain, and it always flood. So when we were actually waiting that weekend to we were waiting on flame retardant material to get back to us, we're like, let's go check out the old building, because we knew things were flooding. And so a bunch of us hopped in that rider truck. So it's like, well, if it's flooding down there, at least we can get through with this.
Oh my God, dude.
They were at the point where they're about to start demolition. Like, we were there all week kind of destroying stuff, and we ended up walking through, and like, it was probably about thigh deep in the main venue. Like, if we were still a business there at that point, we would have been shut down for a while, for sure. Because so much was flooded. So then we just saw it as an opportunity to like go up to the top part, and we just, we might have had a little fun helping our construction brethren demo the building, because we were out of it. And
you just wanted to commemorate it, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot of bowling balls against toilets and bowling balls against windows. It was very therapeutic.
Where did the bowling balls come from?
We found them in the skate park. I have no idea.
It's wild, man.
Yeah.
You've got a couple other legendary stories on here. Black Dahlia murder and Toxic Holocaust show, We Came as Romans, Snow show, Underoath crowd surfing, Hey Monday, from the white building to main building.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a brief rundown of those events?
The
Legendary Shack Shakers too is on here.
Yeah, Legendary Shack Shakers was a like a rockabilly punk band. Dude ended up exposing, like, the singer, like, they opened up for Rancid, but he exposed himself on stage
at Rocketown.
At the old building, which was like a big deal. Like, he went to court for. And then the Black Dahlia murder and Toxic Holocaust situation, that was the first time we ever got some type of backlash from what we were booking.
Yeah.
You could definitely Google it and find some stuff on it.
Did Trevor say a lot of swear words in between songs?
No, it was before the show happened. Like, it was straight up like, 1970s Kiss type propaganda, like, these bands are the devil.
Yeah.
And like Toxic Holocaust, that the guy honed in on, like the guy who made the complaint and started raising a fuss. They have a song called Hang the Pope, and just all metal stuff. But there was so much backlash around that to where, like, news outlets are hitting us up. Like, we're having, like, not media training, but like, hey, if someone from the news talks to you, don't. The ED at the time did a really good job of, like, talking to the news, and kind of like what we've talked about through this whole conversation. It's like, do you want to talk to the same one, or do you want to talk to someone new? And kind of like was more like, this is a safe spot. But it started from some singer-songwriter guy because his son wanted to go to the show, so he checked out the music, and then the fear sets in. But I remember the day of the show, we saw a News 2 van pull up, because, like, where the old location was, all of Bridgestone's parking was across, like, adjacent from us, a huge parking lot where Music City Center is now sitting.
Yeah.
And we see News 2 pull up, so freezing outside. And I remember going up to the coffee bar and ordering. I was like, hey, I need 2 coffees. And it ended up being Dave Nolan, who's a News 2 weather guy, and their camera guy. And I bring them, like, hey, do you guys want some coffee? Like, here it is. And they're like, no, we're okay. And I was like, hey, if you guys are here about the show stuff, you know, please let us know. Like, well, I know it's cold outside. If you guys need a place to warm up, like, we're just trying to be accommodating. And he was like, oh, no, we're not here about that. We're just here about the weather. We're just doing the news thing from here. Like, oh, okay.
Do you think he lied to you?
No, it was definitely for the weather. Like, we all watched it. Just to, like, make sure.
Well, it was nice of you to bring him a coffee.
Well, yeah, because we were like, all right, if we're going to do this, let's at least be the nice people in the situation. Because the guy who, like, led that charge definitely did not know what he's talking about. But then that also then led into, you can go down a weird wormhole about Michael W. Smith being a Satan worshiper, which is why he opened Rocketown to then allow all the Satan bands to infest Nashville. It's a weird, like, QAnon-esque thing that's out there.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Well, dude, what's coming up next for you as far as shows? Like, what do you think the future of the Nashville hardcore scene is going to be, man?
Yeah, I mean, I was the one who booked, like, the Plea reunion and the Alert reunions post-COVID. Just, it was fun to be nostalgic again.
Yeah.
I have no plans of booking anything else unless it has to be a reason for me at this point. I mean, I'm full on in corporate America now. I work for a SaaS company.
Yeah, what do you do, man?
I'm director of global operations for a subset of a business. Really just talk data and Microsoft Office products in some degree because I'm usually in them. For a while, I lived in the Philippines setting up call centers. I say live, like I would travel 2 to 3 months there, be home for 2 weeks, and go back and forth to fight taxes. But did that for about 3 years. So yeah, just kind of becoming an old man at this point. But I love what everyone's doing in Nashville. I think it's awesome. Like Orthodox.
Dude, I was at Orthodox's first show, man.
It's insane. It's like how they have evolved. And honestly, props to Adam. He's done a tremendous job just being transformative and knew what needed to happen to get it done. And he's done that. I think that has then just spiraled out some other bands that have doing a lot of cool stuff. I forget the band that was on your podcast, Dissonation. Like, I like that dude just did it. Like,
yeah, he
just did it. And like that message that he said in that podcast, which that's how I did it. You just do it. You want to book your own show? Go talk to the venue, talk to people who have booked shows there before. Just figure it out. Just do it. And like for him to like own that and just be so confident in that, I love that because it reminds me of how I was.
I think a lot of bands, they want other people to do things for them. They want like the bigger band to like take them under their arm and think that they're cool too. But it's like, dude, you're not doing anything, man. You're waiting around for someone to show up and grab you by the hand and get you on a show. But you just have to do your own thing, man.
There's like,
gotta do your own legwork.
The guys with Bad World and with Jukebox Booking, like I've known Cody for years. They're just doing it too because they're like putting out zines, they're putting out really cool shows, they're putting out Spotify playlists. I mean, someone started a Nashville Hardcore Instagram, which fuck, I wish I would have thought of that.
That's sick. I didn't know. I gotta follow that.
It's just so cool of like viewing this community, especially post-COVID, of like they just want to be in it. And I think it's so awesome to see firsthand. I mean, especially seeing the numbers that like Orthodox selling out Basement East or that outdoor show. I mean, local bands haven't been doing that since the early or late 2000s.
They're on tour right now selling out shows
left and right. It's sick,
so
dude. Sick.
Yeah, they're a Nashville band.
And it's awesome to see like bands like Lethal Method, bands like whatever Luke Grainard's in right now, Gorge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's just really cool to see just get out and do it. And
Dogpile too. That band's sick.
I'm pumped on that CD release show. Yeah. I've not seen them live and I'm so excited for that. Sick. But yeah, it's cool. It definitely gives me a glimmer of hope of like I don't want this to sound conceited, but the road I was able to help pave, there's a lot of people who helped me do that. A lot of people at Rocketown who helped me do that is still being walked on today or ran on today by the next generation. And it's awesome. It's really cool to see.
Yeah. We're living in an exciting time and hardcore is back in a big way. And I've had a lot of deathcore bands on the show and like, I love those guys. Those are my homies, but I would love to get more hardcore bands. So if you're watching this, like hit me up. I'll be hitting you up. But yeah, I want to get some of those hype bands. I just need to talk to Josh Landreth and get his ass over here.
I think
it's a Lethal Method homies. Yeah. And Dogpile too. That band is so sick. So and Luke too. I've been dying to get Luke on the show.
Yeah, so. Luke and I I saw him grow up in the scene. He was actually in a band called Gideon way back in the day. That was a local band from Brentwood. But he and I really bonded when we were both in Worker together.
Sick.
Just one of my favorite humans.
Dude, he rules. I love that guy. Yeah, I got to play in a couple bands with him. We were in a band called Deaf Kid together.
Yeah.
Taylor Carpenter on drums. I miss playing music with that guy. What a nutcase. I love that guy. Oh man, David Hobbs too. I miss that guy so much. I don't know what he's doing.
I think he's in Portland with like Aaron and Kylie.
With Aaron Thomas?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, cool.
I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure he's out there.
To hit him up. Yeah. See, I couldn't find him on social media. So, yeah, man. Any last words for anybody watching? Where can people follow you?
Just at Wes Breedwell. Cool. I don't really post that much, but a lot of what I do try to post is still try to feed into the scene. I know like I have a decent sized network still. So a lot of people get confused now that it could be like they think it's my show and will text me and be like, hey, what are set times? I'm like, I'm not even planning on going to this.
Bro,
I just know the, tour director of the band, or I know the agent's marketing person. So I'm just helping push stuff along because it all feeds in and helps some friends out. Or I am going to the show and I'll be there, but I could not tell you set times. It's not my show. So it's actually fascinating how often I get hit up people thinking it's my show.
I'm going to do that every time there's any show. Just text you.
I mean, I will say there are some cases I do know and will tell people of like, here's the set times, or they'll probably go around about 9:30, like you're safe.
Yeah.
But
sick, dude. What about AM PM and Music City Booking? Do they have Instagrams or?
Yeah, so AM PM is at AM PM Booking. That's all Adam now.
Okay.
So myself, Grant, and Chase don't really do stuff anymore. Like we're still around in the shadows, but we've kind of passed it on to Adam. Like we set that up as more of a collective, and so it's cool to see for it not to be sold or whatever, just to be passed down. And then Music City Booking is no longer a thing. There's no social media for them or anything like that. Actually, Nashville is the reason took over their social media, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So there's people like Nashville is the reason, Nashville Hardcore, AMPM Booking, Bad World Booking, Jukebox Booking, Reaction Presents, and then Legacy Concerts. Those are all the people to follow.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much, bro. Thanks for talking about Rocketown and sharing the story and sharing your story. And it's just cool to get your perspective, man. Like, even though it's been 13 years or whatever since all that went down. It's definitely crazy. I would love to, if anyone has stories or whatnot, I'm sure there's ones I forgot or there's ones I probably couldn't tell. Yeah. But put them in the comments and I would love to see. Yeah. The more comments, the more stories that you guys can drop. Like, it just helps Shred Sessions. It helps the show. All I want to do is do more of this. Yeah. So please help me out if you can. Like the show, drop a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Wes. Thank you.